Hey there, Crafty friends. It's Tina from the Scrappin' Rabbit blog. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. I have a tutorial for you guys for the La La Land Crafts Christmas Advent 24 days of tutorials. And today is day 19. So if you haven't checked out the other tutorials, make sure that you check the description box below for all the information on the blog links, the YouTube channel, and all the different ways that you can win. There are prizes, 3 $50 store credits, and so just check down the description box below for those links and how you can enter to win the prizes. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I created these Easel sticky note holders, and not only that, they are also shakers as well. So just to kind of share with you what they look like, I have them tied with these little ribbons, and when you open it up, you lift the top up like this, and you have an Easel post-it note holder. So you have the post-it notes right here. These are the sticky notes. I use post-it notes, and then there's a little pen holder, and then when you stand it up, it looks like that. And of course, like I said, it's also a shaker, and they are Christmas themed. So let's go ahead and get started. The images that I used for both of my sticky note holders are the Bear Hugs stamp set and the Merry Hippos stamp set. I also used a sentiment here from the Winter Hippos stamp set. And then to create my shaker, I'm using the inverted scallops square and the double stitched squares die. So those are the La La Land products that I used to create these. The one that we are going to create together, I am going to be using the Holiday Smiles stamp set. So the layers that you are going to need, and I am using the 110-pound white cardstock for this. This measures at 3.5 by 10 inches. So that is this first piece right here. Using the same cardstock, you are also going to need another panel, and this one here is cut at 4 inches by 3.5 inches. All of these measurements are also on the blog post, which you can find linked below. You're going to need the pattern paper, and the pattern paper that I used for all of my projects today are the Merry and Bright designer paper pack. That was for the hippo one that I did. And I'm also using this Starry Night designer paper pack, and that is what I used for this one right here, and the pinks that I'm going to use today. So you're going to need to have a designer layer. You can have it cover the whole thing. I cut it just so that there is a slight white border around the edge. So if you like that look, then you are going to cut that pattern paper at 3, and this one is 13/16. And an easy way to figure that one out is when you're looking at the ruler, and if you're looking at the 16ths, if you just go back 3 of those little ones, 1, 2, 3, that is the measurement that you need right there. Instead of counting forward 13 of those little ones, just go back the 3, and that'll give you that 3 13/16 by 3 5/16. So again, this is just to get that white border. If you wanted to cut a 1/4 inch, you could have a bigger white border like that. So it just depends on your personal preference. These are the measurements that I used for my project. And you're also going to need another piece. You can match this cardstock like I did for this one. For this one, I matched the snowflakes on the top and on the bottom, or you can get a solid cardstock like I did for this one, because I wanted to preserve my pattern papers, and so I used a solid cardstock on the bottom and then the pattern on the front. So that is for the bottom piece, and on this situation I'm going to use, for this particular one, I'm going to use the pink cardstock for the bottom layer, and this is going to measure at 3.5 by 3.5. For the shaker pieces, I cut 2 of the squares. So I chose this square right here. Let me pull this one out. So this is the second to largest size in the 4 that you get. And I also chose the coordinating frame, the inverted scallops square, so it cuts it out like that. And I cut 2 of those out just to give me a little bit thicker of a frame, because see how one can kind of, it's a little on the thin side, so if you cut out 2, then it makes a nice sturdy frame. You are also going to need 1 of those squares. You can choose a pattern paper, which I did, which coordinates beautifully, or in this case I used white cardstock and I just did a little ink blending on the back in blue for my shaker. And in this one I just used a white cardstock, and then I added the shimmer pen to the background for that extra shine. So it's all personal preference how you want to do it, but then I'm using 1 of that same sized squares to go behind my shaker frame. And those are the cut pieces. In addition to that, you will also need some clear film. Let me share with you what I use. I like to use Duralar. This is a really affordable option for transparency, which is what I use for my shaker windows. And I'm using it in the 0.005. And I cut out a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 clear film. So if you could see that, so that is 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So those are all of the pieces that you'll need cut out for your easel sticky note holder. I have my 3.5 by 10 inch piece, and I'm getting my score board out and my little bone folder. Now I went ahead and I wrote out all of the score lines for you guys. So hopefully you can see that okay. So the first score line is going to be right here at 2 inches. This is 110-pound Neenah cardstock, so it's pretty thick. Depending upon how the thickness of your cardstock. I want it to be a little sturdier so that it can withstand office use. These Post-it note holders are going to my husband's office. So I have 2 inches, again at 4 inches, so you're going to have to press firmly if you're using super thick cardstock. If you're using thin cardstock, don't press too firmly because you can rip it. 1 at 4.5 inches. Whoops. 1 at 8.5 inches. And then I'm going to do increments here of, I believe it is at 1, 2, 3/8 inches. So the next one over from 8.5 is going to be 8 7/8. Then at 9 1/4 inches. And then 9 5/8. So let me just share with you how I got these measurements, just in case you're using a different thickness pen. Each one of these measure for this pen right here. We're measured based on this pen that could fit in there. So you have 4 spaces in between these score lines, and that is based on this pen. This 1/2 inch right here is based on my Post-it notes. So if you are using a different thickness than the 90 sheets, I believe that this comes in, you might want to alter this. I did a 1/2 inch for the Post-its right there. So that's how I got these measurements right here. And then the 2 inches right here is for the easel. Okay, so if you are interested in using a thinner Post-it, you're going to need to take that into consideration when you're creating this, as well as if you're using a bigger chunkier pen or a skinnier pen, because this one was based on these little pens here that I had in my stash. So let's go ahead and do our folding. So these scores are on top of the paper right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my paper. And the side that I did the scoring on is going to be the outside of my post-it note, outside of the post-it note holder. So this is also going to make the folding easier for me. So from my left to right, I have the 2 inches, and I'm just going to fold that down and use my bone folder for the crease. The next one over, I'm going to fold that down as well. And the next one over, I'm going to do the same, fold that down as well. So that gives me, you can see from the side, that's where the post-it's going to go in, and this is the easel right there. So for the tricky part with the pen, you're going to do like an accordion fold. So this closest, the next line here is going to fold this way, and then we're going to go back in the other direction. Let me do it this way, it's easier for me. And then again, this one is going to go up, so it's like a zigzag. So an accordion fold means back and forth. And then this top piece is going to fold down. So you can see you have this part here for the body and this part here for the pen, and it looks like this. Now to create the pen holder, you are going to need to fold it on this second line right here. So I'm going to go backwards and have just this line here that I have in the valley fold right there. I'm going to actually push that one out now and fold it down. So that one's going to fold in both directions. So you can see there's my first fold and there's my first fold. Okay, so the reason why I have that sticking out is because this is where I'm going to trim the spot for the pen to hold. Okay, so just going back, originally we had the little back and forth fold like this, right? So I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to fold it in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to take some really sharp scissors to cut from the bottom up to that first line in 2 different spaces. So for my pen, I'm thinking that I need the holder to be about this big, and so you could pencil it in if you want an exact line, but I'm just cutting from the bottom to the top of that line right there. And then again, I'm eyeballing it here, so it's not going to be perfect. But that is where your pen is going to go in. So now I'm going to take the 2 different sides and push those back in the direction that we initially had it. And then you're going to see that you have that cut like that to hold your pen. Okay, so then when it is all glued together, it's going to look like this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do the gluing for that. I'm just going to make sure that I have all of it folded the way that I want it. And you want to use a really strong glue, especially if you're using a 110-pound cardstock like I am. So I'm going to use liquid glue for this. We want these 2 pieces to be glued together. So I'm going to add the glue right in between, right here and right here, and glue these together. And you're going to want to hold it so that it sticks and dries. So just want to make sure that you smooth it out and keep it together. Once you have these two stuck together, you're going to want to glue the base to the base of the pen holder to the base of your Post-it note holder. So looking at the inside there, that means I'm going to want to add some glue to these parts right here. Right there, and again all along here. And push that down. And I'm going to take my bone folder and press down on all of these edges. And be patient and wait for it to dry. Now it is dry, and you can see how the pen will just go right in, and it fits perfectly. How cute is that? And so I'm going to go ahead and grab this piece right here that I cut to go on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid glue. The sticky note is going to go flush like that. So you're going to have a little space there in the back for the easel to go down. So I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom of my Post-it note holder and center it as much as possible and trying to bring it down to where the pen holder is. That's pretty straight. And then you're just going to press down. So this is how your Post-it note holder is going to look. And now it's up to you how you want to decorate it. And for mine, I'm going to be using the little Holiday Smile stamp set. I already cut out and colored this adorable little hedgehog and fussy cut it out. This piece right here, we cut this one out, will just go right over the top. And you're going to be gluing just this area. But before I add that, I'm going to go ahead and add my pattern paper so that I can get this nicely centered. Next, you're going to want to add the glue just to this section right here. How cute is that? So now we just need to decorate this top layer, and to do that we're going to create a shaker. So what I like to use for my shakers is you just put together your little mix. I have a little mix of clear, iridescent, and little snowflake sequins from my stash. So I put those together in a little bowl. You're also going to need some double-sided adhesive foam. I found that I do like these for a small shaker. This is made by Doris, and these are very skinny strips, 1/8 inches wide, and so that is what I'm going to use. I'm also going to use some double-sided adhesive tape. This is also really skinny, and I'm going to use that to put together to adhere the clear window. So for these two pieces, I'm just going to go ahead and put these together using some of the liquid glue. So that is my little window. I'm going to go ahead and on the inside add this double-sided adhesive tape. I'll go ahead and remove the paper here. And now I will add my clear film. The Duralar comes with this protective paper. It helps to keep your film nice and clean while you're doing your projects, which I can appreciate because I always have quite a bit of static clinging in my room. Now for the actual shaker, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this double-sided foam. And when you pull it off, if you pull it off nice and slow, it doesn't curl too bad and you can get it off with the paper. If you pull it off fast, what I noticed is the paper comes right off, and you want this paper to stay on while you're forming it around your window here. So I'm just going from one end to the next across each side. If you have an anti-static tool, sometimes it will help prevent the sequins from getting stuck towards the edges of the tape. It doesn't always work. I find that if you do a double layer of tape, you don't have as many issues with the sequins sticking. But this is just a small little fun shaker. I'm not really too concerned about all of the sequins sliding and gliding around in that little window. So I'll just add a little bit of powder, and I'm just going to set this aside for a minute while I go ahead and prepare my background layer. I'm going to stamp and emboss my sentiment, which is something that I really like to do. So I'm going to use this VersaFine black onyx ink and my little stamp pad. And I'm going to go ahead and ink this up really well and line that up and go ahead and stamp it. I'm going to add some clear embossing powder over the ink. Grab my heat tool, get it nice and hot, and melt that sentiment. I just love the way that looks. It's not perfectly straight, but that's okay. It's harder to get things straight without getting your head right above it. Now that I have my little panel ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and add my sequins mix. But before I do that, what I like to do is I actually like to glue some of the sequins down. That way, there's always sequins that you do see right where you want them. And in this case, since my little guy is going to go here, I'm going to glue a sequin there and one right here. I'm going to use a little bit of the liquid glue. Once the glue has dried, you can go ahead and add the rest of your sequins. And I'm just going to go ahead and spread them out on my little square. And then I'll go ahead and remove the little sticky tape from my frame. And place it over the top. And there's your little shaker. So cute! To finish my shaker, I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this little guy. And now when you adhere the little square shaker panel, you're going to want to do it towards the top. So you don't want to have it completely centered. You want it to go towards the top because when your easel comes down, it's going to go behind the sticky notes pad. And so you want to make sure that it's not getting in the way there. So I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid glue to the back of my shaker and adhere it towards the top of my panel. So how cute is this little easel? So darn adorable. And then they can just pull the sticky notes, and then here's the little pen. So definitely super duper cute. You can see that. So for packaging, what you can do to help keep this closed while you're wrapping it or whatever you're going to do, you can use some ribbon. So this sheer ribbon it has a little bit of a shimmer to it, and it's so pretty. So all you got to do is to tie your bow. And so depending upon how big you want your bow to be, just grab your scissors and cut off the edges. And I like to add my bow towards the bottom because I don't want to cover up the little hedgehog with the bow. And so you just tie it down and form your bow. You can embellish this any way you like. With the colored image and the shaker, I feel like that is enough of an embellishment, but you can add more die cuts, you can add more sequins to the outside, whatever you prefer, and embellish to your taste. So here are the final projects. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you like these little easel sticky note holders. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to click on the link below, comment on the blog for your chance to win a $50 store credit to La La Land Crafts. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic day and happy holidays. Until next time, bye for now and happy crafting.